Well, joining us today is Dave Hanson, the MLA for Bonnyville, Cold Lake, St. Paul. Dave, first off, thank you very much for taking time to join us today.
Anytime.
Now, we're talking today because there was an agreement that came in place with ID 349. So just talk about how much of a relief it's been that you guys got this deal done, because I know it's been a while and it's been a bit of a process to get this deal done.
Yeah, ID 349 has been an issue up in that area for over 10 years, and it was one of the campaign promises I made door knocking and also at the forums. It came up quite a bit, and I made a promise to the folks that I would look into it and come up with a deal that was fair to the entire region and would open up some doors for us.
Realistically, how hard was it to get that deal done? I know there's probably a lot of other factors in it, so just kind of take us through that process of and the day it officially became done.
Now, a fair bit of tension with the local leadership, but when I got elected in 2019, one of my first goals was to get them all at the table together. I was successful at that, and they worked together for over the last year and a half, and came up with a made in the Lakeland solution to distribute the funds fairly, and that was a real game changer when we presented that to the minister. And she has worked very hard on it, on getting it processed in the short time that she's been the minister. We, was very happy to see that announcement yesterday that this has finally come to an end.
Now, you mentioned the funds being distributed. I know Cold Lake is going to be getting over 15 million. Bonnyville will receive over 6 million. So what are those funds going to go towards in some of those municipalities there?
But that'll be headed straight for infrastructure improvements, water, sewer, road maintenance. It's all a big thing in all of those communities. It's going to be a huge benefit to them to be able to focus on that kind of stuff and have a substantial amount of funding that they can rely on.
Now, when it comes to sort of, you mentioned it's the distribution with linear property tax revenues for those Lakeland regions. So in the long term, like in a couple of years down the road, could residents in those areas see maybe an increase or something in regard to their property taxes being compromised in a sense?
Absolutely. It's kind of dependent on oil field activity. So if we see an increase in drilling, I know that there are some incentive programs out there to reduce taxes for a period, but then once those facilities come on board, then there is an increase. So all the communities will see an equal increase on their per capita basis. So it's going to be good for all the communities, but definitely reliant on increased oil activity.
I know you talked about where some of the funds will go in some of those areas, but just kind of in the long scheme of things, how does this deal ultimately benefit those residents in the Bonnyville, Cold Lake, St. Paul areas there?
Well, the entire region benefits because the communities are a lot more sustainable. I talked about the town of Glendon, the town of Bonnyville that have seen some substantial increases to their funding. It's going to be good for everybody that lives in those areas as well. So.
And lastly, Dave, is there anything else that you wanted to add on top of what we already discussed today?
No, listen, I'd just like to congratulate all of the municipal leaders for putting their egos aside, sitting at the table with me and coming up with a made in Lakeland solution that we could all support, and the minister supported as well. And I'd like to thank her for all her hard work in this as well.
Well, Dave, I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Anytime.